Are you trying to find another way to add more quality to your Piggy map without turning up the quality on your game? Today we will be showing you the significant impact that your map will have if you use lighting in your Piggy map to your advantage. Different light pieces will make your map feel a certain way, look a certain way, and this can actually change the entire ambience of the map. You can use the RGB lighting, a new thing that we will talk about. For instance, this invisible light block, which is probably one of the most powerful light blocks that we have to date. So if you want to see more Piggy Build Mode tips, tricks, and more, make sure that you start now by subscribing to Piggy Plus and tapping the bell to be notified when we upload or go live. Let's start off with a basic idea of all the different light sources that we have to work with. We have the invisible light blocks. We have the customizable RGB lighting settings. We have these two lights, which are basically the same. This light is the same color light as this light. However, this tends to produce a stronger amount of luminescence. And then we have the strip lights and then the street lights. But all the lighting can be found here. Or can it? In decorations, you may remember, and this is if you were participating in the last two events, we have these, the Halloween and the Christmas lights, which we will be also showing you some interesting ways to use those lights in your Piggy map. But let's start off with the basics. If you want to quickly fill in areas of your map and make them feel bright without putting too much effort into it, or not having to have lights, or you don't even want your lights visible when you play your map. For instance, I have these invisible light blocks carelessly scattered all around this area and throughout some other buildings in my Piggy map. This is perfect if you don't want lights to be visible and you also want to generate a very strong light source only using a few blocks. The invisible light blocks will easily do the trick right there. Now moving on to the strip lights. You should use them in commercial and industrial buildings like so, and they can generate a good amount of light. They also create the perfect environment and ambience because that is what you would find in that sort of area. You want to find them in big public businesses, offices, schools, and stuff of that nature. And then another way you can use the lights, the strip lights, is if you were building a stadium. This is a very common structure that you find on the tops of stadiums. These lights are mounted onto this nice metal gray structure right here, and you see them throughout the stadiums. Now moving on to the round standard light blocks. I probably have used these the most in my map. You can use them virtually anywhere. They really create an immersive experience and they don't generate that much light, but you can use them for so many different things. I could use them to symbolize a button. Because of their nice round geometric shape, they can be used for so many different things other than just a light. I use them as an auxiliary light source across the stadium eatery loop that we have right here. And that takes me to my next light source. Another recently commonly used light. These golden lights, we'll call them, are perfect to create this nice cozy atmosphere. If you don't know what I'm talking about, or you think I'm just adding on adjectives, this can perfectly describe it. You have this nice rustic design for a bar and grill that we recently renovated. They go great with a dark background because you have not only just the bright light source, but you also have this bright trim, this bright top to the light that goes right into, which would ideally be a darker contrast from the light. The lighter light, they create this yellowish light. This is also very similar and goes hand in hand in many ways with the lantern lights. I first remembered using them in my map in these two areas, using them as though they were suspended by strings and created these lines of these lantern lights. They created a beautiful atmosphere. The atmosphere gets even better, especially when you play at night. They really look good against a nice dark wood background or a brick. They really add so much value to this area in particular, just as an example. They also turned out very well with the bar and grill that we recently retextured. This brick texture, which was once the same as this brick color, we changed it out due to some color matching that I wanted to do with the interior. I think it adds a lot of light because now this whole area feels very dark. However, it used to feel very bright. And part of the reason I did that was I had to get rid of the lighting. So these lights are pretty powerful. I think they're more powerful than the golden dome lights that we were talking about previously. Since they're a bit more stronger in luminescence, I separated them every other, and that would be something I would recommend you do if you're gonna clutter a bunch of these all together. I would keep that in mind when doing such a thing. Now this takes us to the last block before we mention some other interesting, cool things that are very unique to Piggy Build Mode that you can do with lighting. We first have to talk about these street lights. I've used these street lights obviously everywhere that is next to a street. As you see, it's pretty self-explanatory, but there is one thing I will throw out there. I did a very interesting, unique design in here, and I think you could do this in food courts and in other restaurants similar to this, but you could use these lights in here, especially in rooms with high ceilings such as this. It's a perfect way to put an end to the gates if you are using these fences. They seem to work pretty well together, minus the gap. Also note that you can walk right through all of the lights given. This takes you to your first customizable light block in Piggy, the RGB lighting. RGB, for anyone that doesn't know, stands for red, green, blue. 3 colors that you will need for your light source. So we have 2 right here just as an example, and very cool how these things work. I will throw a link in the description on how to pick a color and type in so for instance, I wanted a light to be this color. It's not really much of a color, nothing different. I could totally change up the colors, and the way I would do that would be if I press this gear button. I know, right? It's so customizable here. You are given obviously your red, green, and blue. I'll throw a link in the description on how to simply pick the color that you want, the desired color, and then you'll type in these 3 numbers. It'll be perfectly coordinated on these websites that I'll put in the description. And then you can choose the brightness and then the range, the radius, like how long do you want the light to stretch out, how far around in the area, the diameter, that kind of stuff. And now for some more, I guess, more bonus lighting in your map. This was actually fan-made. Very surprised, and I love the way it was used. The Halloween and Christmas events for the battle pass sort of thing that we had going on in Piggy in the past few months gave us the opportunity to get these new light rope string contraptions. You cannot, however, customize these lights. You have this indigo purple color and then an orange for the Halloween one. Now if you collected both, you're in luck because you have 2 new colors to choose from as well. You can do red and green lights, and you can use them as strings. I will be showing you more about that in some upcoming episodes. We may be using them more with the live stream. I kind of hinted at it in a live stream earlier. And supposedly, I guess you could say that the acid blocks could be used as light source in your map. Of course, there can only be one color, this nice green screen green color. Otherwise, that is it for lights for now. More will definitely come in the future, and I can't wait to see what we can do with some of these light contraptions. The best way to show off the lights and present them is in night mode, which I am doing right now. I can give you a handful of very useful tips that you will need if you want to play in a huge Piggy Build Mode map. Click on this thumbnail right here to go to the video. But before you do that, make sure you tap my Piggy Plus subscribe icon. I will see you in the next episode. And as always, comment for more content. You have been watching this on Piggy Plus.